And welcome to Redondo Beach, those of you that are present and those of you that are not present but watching us via video. We welcome you today. What a great day it is, correct? Guess what time it is? It's time to stand up and sing how great it is. We're doing my favorite song, I Release and I Let Go. Gotta let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release, I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. There's no more struggle, no more strife. And with my faith I see the light. Yes, I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. Come on now. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. There's no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. Yes, I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. My heart I'll let go. Let the Spirit run my life. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yay! Great job, great job. We're going to welcome up Monica.
Please join me in knowing, take this moment, if you'll just softly close your eyes and allow yourself to just feel the support of the chair that you're sitting in. And know that in this moment, all is well. And I move beyond my physical eyesight to that spiritual vision where I see God and God alone. I see the beauty. I see the joy. I see the love and peace at the core of everything. So I know that right here and right now, as I center myself in this love, in this joy and this peace, as I connect with the truth of my very being, I know that here, today, everything unfolds with grace and ease. It's all perfect. It's all good. The music, the songs, the prayers, the talk, the camaraderie and fellowship that I experience here with my spiritual family. I know that I am open, I am inviting, and I am welcoming to good and good alone. That this is what I experience, This is what I know, and this is who I am. So filled with gratitude for this moment, this place, and this time, to be my best self. I let go, I let God, and I declare, and so it is.
Good morning to all, both here in the sanctuary and to those on our YouTube channel. Today, August 7th, our speaker is Reverend Catherine McKinney, or some of you know, as I like to call her, Reverend Mama. And just as a reminder, Sunday hospitality is in Richelieu Hall after the service. The women's group will meet today in the teen room at 12:30. And some of you might be aware, but it is getting to back to school time, and so Rainbow School Supplies is back on the schedule. And so I will be collecting school supplies, and you can come and talk to me in the foyer after service as well. And I just want to say that I have been collecting school supplies from all of you since, I believe, 2004. And you all have been always so supportive and so just amazingly generous to them that you have always been able to provide them for more than enough school supplies to last throughout the school year, as well as enough monetary donations to give them school uniforms as well. So I want to thank you ahead of time for your continued generous support. Discovery class is today at 12:30 here in the sanctuary. This is an opportunity to explore what it means to become a member of Redondo Beach Centers for Spiritual Living. And you can see more in your program. And we are live streaming Discovery so that all can gather and benefit from the information we share. Here is what is happening this week. Reverend Kathy's book reading is Tuesday, August at 10 a.m. The book is Your Aladdin's Lamp, which is also called Your Inner Light. And you can check your program for more details. The yoga class will not be meeting this week. The Art of Life is a book reading on Wednesday, August 10th at 9:45 a.m. You can see more in the program, or you can email the office for a link. Our Wednesday morning service, August 10th at 11 a.m., is in person and on our YouTube channel, and our speaker will be Reverend Mary Morgan. And next Sunday, August 17th, our speaker is Reverend Kathy Sunfield. And looking ahead, the Sisters Club Lean In Circle meets August 14th at 12:30. We take this moment to remind you there are several ways you can donate to our center. We appreciate your presence here today, and we thank you so much for your messages and financial donations to our center. As a reminder, you can always dial a prayer at 310-540-5242, and new prayers are posted every Wednesday. And now for a lovely little treat, our singer, Donna Miller.
Imagine how God can sing, how his voice delights the universe in a range that blends eternally into chords of his love. Imagine how God can dance, moving gracefully up to our hearts, to invite us to be intimate and share in his joy. Then imagine how God must feel if we move back away from him to design our own destinies, living lives of desiring and fear. to him for the peace that only he can give, for the strength he grants to truly live. And when the choice is made to look within and finally draw near.
Wow, Donna, that was beautiful. Donna Miller, thank you very much. Good morning. It's my pleasure to provide the Science of Mind lesson based upon Reverend Catherine's topic, It's All Nature. Ernest Holmes, founder of Science of Mind, was well read in the classics, the Bible, and greatly influenced by Ralph Waldo Emerson, an American philosopher in the mid-1800s, who wrote many famous essays, including Self-Reliance, The Oversoul, and his first in 1837, Nature. Dr. Holmes was so taken by Emerson that Holmes remarked, "Reading Emerson is like drinking water to me." Today's topic, it's all nature. And a dictionary definition explains nature as the phenomena of the physical world collectively, including plants, animals, the landscape, and other features and products of the earth. But what is nature from a Science of Mind point of view? In the Science of Mind textbook written by Ernest Holmes, he states, spiritual wisdom says that God manifests through everything and is incarnated in all people. That all is divinity, and that nature herself is the body of God. So, nature is the manifestation of the contemplation of the Creator, and therefore the entire universe, including Earth's nature, is the body of God. Science of Mind, pretty simple. But like Ernest Holmes, let's take a little sip of water and read a little bit from Emerson's essay, Nature. And I quote, "Herein is especially apprehended the unity of nature, the unity in variety, which meets us everywhere. All the endless variety of things make an identical impression. A leaf, a drop, a crystal, a moment of time is related to the whole and partakes of the perfection of the whole. Each creature is only a modification of the other. The likeness in them is more than the difference." He continues, "A rule of one art or a law of one organization holds true throughout nature. So intimate is this unity that it is easily seen it lies under the undermost garment of nature and betrays its source in universal spirit." Unquote. So, Emerson is saying that nature's source is universal spirit. Now, wasn't that a tasty sip? Holmes was definitely influenced by Emerson when Holmes wrote, "From unity, which is the one back of all things, multiplicity is manifested, but the many never contradict the unity of the whole." Emerson tells us that nature is spirit, close quote. Now, Daniel Nahmod reminds us in his song, "One Power," and I quote, but not sing. And I know you're very grateful and thankful for that. "We speak so many languages, have different clothing, different colors, different names, but different is only dangerous when we forget that in the heart we are all the same. What a great song. So, I conclude from what I've said, we are all part of creation. We are all part of nature. It's all God. It's all nature. And it's all good. That's the truth from Ruth, and so it is.
Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Be careful what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes our prayer. Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Take charge of what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes our prayer.
So today's message is by our very own Reverend Catherine McKinney. It's all nature.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for that wonderful Science of Mind lesson. I feel like he was looking over my shoulder when I was putting together some of my remarks, but we know that there's only one mind, nature. There are so many names for God. Ernest Holmes uses lots of names. Nature is one of them. And I think we use many names because the infinite nature of God is such that we're always wanting to grasp onto something that's inspirational about that infinite power that knows no limit, and that infinite power that we can't truly name. But I love the fact that he's talking about Mark in his introductions, that Daniel Nahmod reminds us that inside we're all the same. Because the basic element of our teaching, the most basic, it seems to me, is that we are all one. And not only are we one with the nature of God, we are all one with each other. And we say that, and we mean that when we say that, but it seems to me sometimes that one thing that is the most important is something that we talk about more than we actually do. I was inspired to choose the notion of nature by a story that I read this past week about a man in India who found a problem and decided to do something about it. He planted a tree a day for 40 years. And he transformed what was a devastated piece of land that wouldn't even support the life of animals that crawled on it. They died from the heat. He started planting trees. And he planted so many trees that 40 years later, it is a forest. It is a thriving forest. There are elephants there. There are rhinoceros. There are wild boars and all sorts of small creatures, deer, birds. It is a thriving place. And he did that because he decided to do one thing. He's a simple man. He had simple needs, but he saw this problem in the devastating landscape that he beheld and decided to do something about it. How many of us can find one thing that we do that can make a difference? There was a workshop that I went to a number of years ago. It was at a CSL convention, and it was by a man who is in the commercial world, secular world, if you will, and he wrote a book called The One Thing. And he was a wonderful speaker. He did a great workshop. And as I remember the book, what I really got from it was really two different things. First of all, he's a successful real estate person even then, and he has become even more successful, but he was feeling stagnant. He was feeling like that he was not being all he could be. So he struggled with this, and he did something. He went to a business coach. Tell me what's going on here. What can I do better? And they kind of went back and forth. And eventually the coach said to him, there's really just one thing you need to do here. And he goes, oh, how can that be? There's this and there's all these other things. How can that be? And his name is Gary Keller. And Keller realized, it was an inspiring moment when he realized, wait a minute. I do see there really is one thing. He was CEO of this corporation, and as he said in the book, I fired myself and got other people to do these things, and he went to work on the one thing that he thought could turn that around. And so he did that, and over the next 3 years, his business really, really grew. And that was the first thing. He used that inspiration to do the one thing. But after about 3 years, he started noticing the people that he was working with were not doing their own best self. They weren't coming back to him with things that inspired them. And finally, after struggling with different ways to do it, it hit me. One thing. So he changed. He forgot himself the one thing that he had been doing. So then he said to his managers, pick one thing that you think is most important and do that. And the rest is sort of history as far as this company is concerned. It became a very successful company. He wrote the book, and he's coached a lot of other businesses to do the one thing. So what interested me in that second point is how much resistance that he had. And it was his own idea. He inspired himself, and yet he resisted. And so I realized that something may be a great idea, but we sometimes resist in just doing one thing. And quite frankly, if I relate it to my own personal life, how many times if I had a project to do, maybe just a home project, like clean out the garage, like clean out a closet, and I spend half a day doing all these other things till I actually get around to the thing that I said that I wanted to do, and then there's not enough time. Because somehow my mind was resisting the idea that I really had and wanted to do. Maybe some of you all can relate. We do a lot of different things instead of the one thing that we think. I'm not going to say why that is, but I've observed it as a phenomenon. Ernest Holmes says that when we awaken to the idea that we are one with the nature of God, when we recognize that our word has power, only then will we be able to see clearly. He has a lot of things to say about how we live the science of mind, and he doesn't tell us what not to do. I don't see that in the book. I don't see that in the Science of Mind textbook or other books. We are reading in The Art of Life, we were reading some ideas that were similar about staying tuned to that we are one, that we are one with everything. And in the book that we were reading, it said, the power of spirit doesn't withhold anything from you. The kingdom of heaven is at hand, is what Jesus said. And we are not, nothing is withheld from us. So then he explains some more, and then he goes on and gives a number of affirmations, one of which I will share. He wrote, "When we are always kind, we shall never know hate." In the discussion that followed, the question was, but wait a minute, there's always hate. It's out there. And I repeated what Ernest Holmes said. When we are always kind, we shall never know hate. He didn't say that it doesn't exist. He said that we shall not know hate. And so what that put me in mind of thinking is the reading that I have done with Emma Curtis Hopkins. And Emma talks about how there is good for us and we ought to have it. And then she goes on to say, but in the next thought, those listeners are thinking, but I don't have my good. It's not here for me. And remember, Ernest Holmes said, we see clearly when we understand and know the power of our word. And so when I say I don't see my good, when I start filling that space with the things that I don't want or that I don't have, what am I doing? Am I speaking my word for my good, or am I speaking my word for something else? And so Emma talks to and teaches, her words in her books are essentially her lessons to those she was training to be practitioners. And there is one passage that it's always been impressive to me for what it says. And it reads, "Rise up, my soul, and heal the sick wherever I walk. Show people how to be strong. Make people love God. Quicken my heart with heavenly fervor. Show me the finished kingdom. Show me the words that make people glad and sane." Emma taught these words. She embodied these words, and they had power, and she understood that. And that is what is truly true for all of us. When we go somewhere, wherever we go, that consciousness that we carry, I am always kind. I am always compassionate. I am always meeting the face of God. If that is the consciousness we carry, then we do not see hate. We do not experience that. That's what Ernest Holmes said. That's what Emma taught. Because that consciousness speaks louder than whatever words you say. Haven't you heard the expression, what you are speaks louder than what you say? Nonverbal communication is our consciousness, connecting with the consciousness of everyone else. And it's always truthful. Always truthful. So that consciousness that goes with us brings that idea into the room. And that's what Emma said. So I wonder, are we always kind? And kind is not necessarily nice. Kind has so much more power. It has the power to be compassionate, to feel that idea that someone else is wanting. And you know that almost unconsciously, and those words just fill the space in just the right way. The Dalai Lama said, "My religion is kindness." So perhaps that is the one thing He has that one thing that he practices and lives, and it is part of his being. Reverend Kusala comes and speaks to us, and he has some wonderful, wonderful lessons. But what comes into those lessons always is kindness. He brings and sells and is the kindness wherever he goes. Whatever he's doing, he brings that kindness with him. That kindness speaks for itself and how he's doing. And so as we imagine how we want to be in the world, what is the one thing we want to do? Now, I recognize that when you do one thing, it doesn't mean that you do nothing else. If I go back to the Indian man whose name is Jadav Payang, if I go back to him, he had a family, and he had to make a living, and he made his living by selling the milk from the cows that he had. And during the course of this forest, among the animals that repopulated or populated this spit of land, it was about 1,300 acres, 1,400 acres. Through that time, tigers came into that. And some of the tigers killed his cows. He lost over 100 cows to the animals from the forest. It didn't move him. He kept planting trees because he understood the importance of this as part of nature. He understood it in a way that seems remarkable. What he said is, nature is God, and I am inspired by this forest, and I will plant trees as long as I draw breath. It didn't matter that something happened to his animals. He kept sight of the one thing. And I believe that when you make up your mind to do one thing, and that one thing is for good, you may not know how it's going to happen, but you don't have to. You state that intention, and you do that with your full idea. Then what unfolds are opportunities, possibilities that just arise, because that is the way the law works. Ernest Holmes says that when we grab hold of this idea that I speak my word and that it has integrity with my very soul, that is what I know true happiness and success. And so as we move forward in all of the things that we're doing, we can know that we're always supported by that creative force. What is the one thing? Is it kindness? Is that what we do? Or is it something else? The secular example I gave was of a man who had a secular desire to be successful. And of course, he brought many people with him. Jadav Payang had an idea that brought him the peace, the fulfillment, and the inspiration to be that person. He feels now that this forest is complete, and he's begun other spits of land that were barren to bring trees, because he's planting trees. He is planting trees as long as he draws breath. How many of us are able to make a commitment that lasts the rest of our lives? Do we have to do that? I'm not saying that we do. But the idea of choosing one thing that is important for our very soul is one of those things that can be lifted up and that we can understand and be true to. And we can actually make sure that all of this happens. I am grateful to understand that this idea is important. And I've learned as I'm preparing to do this today, I've actually feel like I've grown in my own way of thinking about that idea. And I invite everyone to consider this for yourselves. And so in closing, I wanted to share with you a metaphysical version of, and have you repeat after me, a metaphysical version of the Lord's Prayer. Reverend Mary referenced the Lord's Prayer last week when she said, "Give us this day our daily bread." And in the metaphysical version, Emma, through several other places, has said, and I invite you to repeat after me, "Give me this day everything I need." Show me the courage and inspire in me the courage to command the law. Show me the temptation of appearances. Do not let me believe in evil. For yours is the power and the glory within me forever and ever. And so it is. This is the time in our service when we talk about our mission statement. And I'm going to invite the ushers to come forward, and I'm going to go ahead and do this part of the service where we accept the offering. And I want to share with you the one idea that came from this mission statement. So if the prayer is up on the screen, which, there we go. Divine love consecrates my gift to heal, to bless, and to prosper all those who give and all those who receive. I rejoice in the sharing of my good, and I release my gift with love. And so it is. The mission statement is actually one of several this center may have had at one time. It was founded, and this spot, and other places actually first, by Reverend Earl Barnum. And he had the idea that there is a power for good in the universe and we can use it. And we have that poster up in our bookstore. And Dr. Frank, who built this part of the sanctuary that we are in now, put right out there on the tile, "The truth shall set us free." And that's a biblical quote. And the truth, of course, is all of the things that we're talking about, that God is within me. That is the life. And I was part of the team that put together this mission statement with the idea of making it personal to everyone. And so it is to honor your presence, to nurture your spirit, and to enrich the life of all we serve. And that has been important to me, partly because I was there, but partly because it honors all that has gone before. And this is a very short letter that tells us how we're doing. Thank you so much for the services that we are having. I love the messages and the energy. I am saying my prayers for Dr. Moira. Thank you for this letter. And then I want to welcome up Donna Miller.
Well, here we go. So nice to be here today. So nice, so nice. God is inside me and everything else that was or ever will be I came into this world with God, but only them that look inside find it. Just as sure as moonlight bless the night, like a blade of corn, like a honeybee, like a waterfall, all a part of me, like the color purple. Where does it come from? Now my eyes are open. Look what God has done. God is inside you and everyone else that was or ever will be. And when you feel the truth so real, and when you love the way you feel, you find it just as close as my breath is to me. Like a blade of corn, like a honeybee, like a waterfall, all a part of me, like the color purple. Where does it come from? Now my eyes are open. Look what God has done. It takes a grain of love to make a mighty tree. Even the smallest voice can make a harmony. Like a drop of water, keep the river high. There are miracles within you and I. God is inside us and everything else that was or ever will be. Thank you.
Thank you, Daisy, and thank you, Andy. It is so wonderful to have lovely music at this time in our center, live music. So thank you both for providing the wonderful atmosphere. Thank you. One of the things I wanted to say that I decided not to say in the talk and to say it at this point is that there is this idea of one thing is something that is important to me. And right now, the one thing is that we're all doing this together, and we are doing our parts, whatever it is, to make this center thrive for the time when Dr. Moira returns. And yes, I want to hear that from you, because it really is. I have this vision that we are humming with wonderful things that are happening, reorganizing, doing lots of things. When she does come back, that all she has to do is step in easily and not feel like she's got to reinvent anybody's wheel, that she is just there. And that is my intention. And this morning, I have a text from her, and I want to just share a part of it. She wants to thank everyone in the community for the way that we are serving. She appreciates it, and she wants me to say how much this center and all of us are in her hearts and prayers, her heart and prayers. She appreciates the wonderful cards, because many of us are sending cards and notes and all kinds of good wishes to her, and she very much appreciates all of them. And she goes on to say that she appreciates everyone's service in the center today. Everyone who is serving makes this happen in a beautiful way, and she is very appreciative. Big hugs and love to everyone. And I was gratified to hear this morning, and or read it, and I'm so glad to be able to share that with you. And so, let us close with this blessing and recognize that this blessing is only important when it's intentional. When we say the words and we mean what we say when we're saying it. So I invite you to consider the words as you say them, even if you said them last week and the week before, to say these words knowing that the integrity of your own soul is what you are aiming for. I know divine love enfolds me. Divine light leads me. Divine life lives in me. Divine wisdom inspires me. Divine compassion expresses through me. And divine power protects me. All that I am is Spirit's life in expression. It is good and very good. With deep joy and generosity filling me, I go forward now in sacred service, supporting a compassionate world that works for all. I move through my days with grace and ease, in peace and love, in health and wellness, in fullness and plenty, and in loving relationship with all. What I now know for myself, with blessing and in deep gratitude, I know for all life. There is only God. There is only God. There is only God. So let us rise for the peace song and sing it like we mean it.